regarding just the latest development in the political scene with the housing levy that we've been discussing, giving it a very considerable stock as far as comments are concerned. And also, we want to look at a bit of issues that also we had from COTU. Atwoli Mfunza Ruto, it says here, oops, it's jumping over to another page. And it says, I just wanted to read some of his statement before we continue with the conversation, and you hold on to your second opinion there, or second comment that you wanted to say. Atwoli last week, or COTU, came up with a document. They term it turning the tide on Kenya's economy, recovery and prosperity through the workers' lenses. And tucked away somewhere there, it says that we should invoke paragraph 129 of a sessional paper, number 10, on Africa's socialism and its application to planning in Kenya. That is Republic of Kenya, 1965. What partially states that the government will assume the responsibility of holding down the prices of basic commodities so that workers, farmers, and unemployed are not confronted with the rising cost of living. The government will also ensure the workers are not exploited, that safety conditions are enforced, and the minimum wages are reasonable. A critical analogy between the current challenges facing workers in Kenya and the provisions of that paragraph, of course, calls on trade unions to provide a way forward for a better Kenya. That is just a snippet of what it was saying there. Even as we can hark back to sessional paper number 10, which is very contentious again. I'll hold that thought. You'll pick it up, Dr. Nyikal, so that we may continue with it. But let me just listen from Honorable Sigei. I hope you've not lost your track of thought on the second place.
Yes, I had wanted to comment on the business segment of the tax implication on investors within the country. Remember, we mentioned the fact that some have migrated their operations outside Kenya to the region. But I would not want to say that is so because of the tax regime that the current government is implementing. Because when you look at the economic condition, running all day from COVID, post-COVID, actually, most of the industries have largely been affected. Not only in Kenya, it's across the region. And the production definitely went down, and coupled now with, of course, the economic condition across the world, largely production in industries went down. What is only happening, which we also can take credit for, is there is ease of business operation in Kenya. That one is a fact. The comparison between Kenya, Uganda, Tanzania, and the neighboring region within the East Africa community, there is ease of business operations in Kenya. The laws that are in place are friendly to run an enterprise, whether it's a startup or it is an ongoing business. Number two, and which is more important, is what we talk about the market. The market is available to business community in Kenya compared to the region. And in as much as the government could have enhanced taxation on a number of areas within production, it does not affect the business enterprise uniquely in terms of them opting to go and produce elsewhere. And that is one of the reasons why, of course, Kenya Kwanza also opted to say, look, we really wouldn't want to subsidize on consumption. Let us do it on production. Because when you look at the agriculture sector, if we were to get to a point where we are able to provide the basic food, it affects the rest of the sectors of economy. It will avail food to all the families, it will avail food to our institutions, it will enhance available resources to fund other areas, because the moment you have surplus, you can sell. The moment you have excess, you can also enhance production. And that way, you create jobs, you enhance largely the cost of doing business to come down rather than to go up. And I think the environment that we've created over time is getting better and not worse by the day. such that those businesses that could have considered closing down or reducing on production is not because of the tax regime, it's because of other factors which over time will definitely be changing.
Right, thank you. Dr. Nyika, you wanted to comment on, or you had something, you wanted to comment also on the issue of COTU?
Yes, COTU.
You can take us back to that social paper number 10.
Paper number 10. Well, at the time it was applauded as a fantastic move and so on. But remember, it had also been accused that it led to marginalization because there was a part that said that there'll be more investment in areas with potential. And that has brought a lot of issues, but to some extent has been looked at with the devolution has corrected that a bit. But what he said, the paragraph that actually talked about, was hold prices down and maintain wages so that the workers can actually be more productive. That leads us directly to issue of taxation. Yeah, so that the only way to hold prices down is one, improve productivity, and two, make sure that taxes do not really harm the cost of production, because taxes can also harm the cost of production. Look at what fuel levy is doing when you go to manufacturing. So that's something you have to look at. Look at what it's doing to the prices of food. That's doing it. So the two things that Atuli are saying, I think is just looking at the current situation with the prism of what was seen before. But on taxes, as we have said, there's basic principles. I'm not an economist, I'm a medical person, but the basic principles that as you keep increasing taxes, the revenue that you get actually decreases, and till you reach a point where actually the revenues goes down. I don't know what our economists, whether they have actually looked at that the level we have been increasing taxes and the number of taxes we have put is to such an extent that people cannot pay anymore. So now they can't collect anymore. You may actually go back and see if you have to reduce the taxes so that people are paying and reduce the limit. It's a curve. And so when the curve has gone to the limit, but beyond the optimum, you have to come back on the curve. So I think so commenting on what also was said about what Honorable Mukomen, Minister Mukomen has said, there are two issues. Although it was a press statement, people are worried. People are sensitive about taxation. So as a minister, you have to be very careful. But I also expect that when ministers go on a project, I hope there are people with them who actually look at the statements they make so that they confine themselves to the project. Though the context, as my friend was saying, is maintained. So, but if they mix the project issues and they mix it with politics, then of course, people get worried. And Kenyans are also worried, particularly with the Kenya Kwanza government, that things are said and before you know it, they're being done. So when they hear something, they quickly are on to it. As I said, without a lot of consultation.
They put public participation first.
Not just public participation.
Before the system itself comes to,
So not only the public participation, but other people. Look at the areas we are talking, that we are increasing taxes and how it is affecting our trade. That there are neighbors that we agreed with, but we are going back and making arrangements with other people that is ignoring the origin. Again, that means the issue of looking at every aspect. My colleague talked of the center bolt of a vehicle. I will say it is like the timing belt, so that when the belt moves, every other part of the car must work in unison with that, so that one thing you say or one move you make does not affect very many other things. And I think what I may say, knowing how government should work, is that actually I think we have an issue at the position of the head of public service. This is, to my view, this is where everything revolves around. Because with that you have an eye view, you are looking at all places, and you should have a structure that says when the cabinet meets, what does the cabinet say? The implementer, the permanent secretary, what are they going to do? Have they all known how that decision in that ministry is going to affect me in my ministry? So
interesting.
To me...
Interesting views.
Yeah.
Because I like it the way you're saying also that even C.S. Murkomen should read the mood.
Yes.
Just as he was reading the mood in the house
Exactly.
before putting the question.
Yeah.
And now we're asking.
No. But let me also just add to that.
No,
Let me tell you a bit one. Let me tell you just what I know. Maybe things have changed. I was in government. The PS and the people around the minister were to be very careful that during a function, they look at what the minister is going to read, and they're careful of off the cuff. Because it's off the cuff that the president takes.
That causes problems, actually.
So you reach a point when the minister has read it, you say, the minister is busy. We are not going to make any comments. We don't want the minister to go and make an off-the-cuff statement that spoils everything. Because then they're likely to go to politics.
Right. So you have a bird's eye view of the civil service. He thinks that the timing belt is off. Is it a time to change the timing belt so that there is synchrony within the civil service?
You know, Dr. Nyikal said the Kenya Kwanza administration has a very good political machine, but they are poor in management. But I want to also tell Kenyans listening to me that management is a continuous process of improvement. Management, even when you study the science of management itself, it's a continuous process of improvement. Management, you'll find maybe the HR is not doing well. You want to improve the HR. When you find it is the ops that are not doing well, you want to improve if it's the finance department that is not. So it is a continuous
it's a Kaizen philosophy
of improvement. So we are listening to Kenyans as a government, and we are doing what we can to improve where we are facing pitfalls. That's why I'm saying even the way the Affordable Housing Committee has collected its views, I'm sure now when they go back to the House, it will be a robust debate, and it will help us improve on this policy. I'm listening also to what Dr. Atwole is saying. Unfortunately, I think that he may have a point, but the sessional paper 1965 to us, especially for us who live in the marginalized areas, is a discredited document. And he should never have talked about it. He should have told us other arguments. We live in a different world, a totally different world. That world where they used to say that, the areas that have high potential, Kenya government should invest in those areas. It's an outdated document. It is a document that had people of colonial mentality speaking to Kenyans. And unfortunately, they are the ones who are sitting in the policy decision-making positions, which is unfortunate. And I think referring to a document like that to try and bring it to arguments facing us in 21st century is a fallacy in itself. You know, when someone is talking about price controls, price controls, we abandoned that kind of policy in economics a long time in this country, saying that we should control the price of unga, we should control the price of bread, we should control. That one was abandoned because Kenya went for a free market economy. And we are listening to all people, but you see, let us be also practical. You can't come and say, let us control the price of basic commodities, and yet at the same time, there is an investor who has made his investment there who expects a reasonable return. So for me, I think the discussion should be, what new ideas can we create for this nation? And I'm telling you, even traditional manufacturing firms, what are the new ideas? Even when people say that we are now shifting to other places, what is Kenya doing? You see, we are creating a hub of a whole ICT hub around Kenya. And there are many young people who are getting employed through the new digital economy. And the president has been on the forefront creating these jobs for so many young people. And you see, even when you hear people, TikTokers, people making money, YouTubers, people making money and making a good living, people producing music, the digital economy is growing. You hear the president has made arrangements for companies in the US where Kenyans are working here, the young people are working here, but they're getting paid in dollars, you know. The digital economy is a real game changer in this country. Now, all these honorable members have been roped in. They have changed the CDF Act to create digital hub centers in all the constituencies in Kenya. So which means there are going to be centers in this country creating jobs for people. And that's why I'm saying you can't take people thinking 1965 documents to use them in this era. You know, I think that one was out of order. I think what we should be doing is to think like people in this century and with the minds of the young people who are here.
Thank you.
The young people who are here are in sequence and in consonance with what the president is doing. So I believe our country is going places. I believe that we can look forward to a robust economy. And the numbers, I've quoted them here many times, are showing that we are headed in the right directions. Unfortunately for newspapers, they will never tell you that we have a reduction in taxation on this matter to encourage importation or to encourage production in this area. They will not tell you that. But when there is a slight change and increment going up, they will write that and give it a headline. Why? Because when the dog bites the man, it's not news. But when the man bites the dog, that's when you create news. So I also wanted to encourage our people in the media space to also say some of the good things that we are doing, you know, around encouraging the growth. And that's why I'm talking about digital economy and how countries, big companies are setting their headquarters here in Kenya. And I think going that direction, we are looking at growth. With all these problems we are having, management issues, we are looking at a country that has a growth expected in this year. And as much as we've had hiccups with programs like housing, programs like SHIF, I am sure in the next 1-2 years, the same people who are talking will be clapping for this same administration.
Thank you.
And we will be voted back, by the way, with a very huge majority. I believe so, because of the way things are going to turn around.
All right. We'll be voted back.
With a very huge majority.
I think that will be a subject for another Monday show as well, because we're pinched for time.
Another show.
Yes. You can get to closing remarks? Yeah.
Just a few remarks, then I get to my closing remarks in the bow. I think the issues raised by Dr. Yikalu in terms of management, the way the Kenya Kwanza government is conducting their management issues. The question was, do we change it or do we fix it? And I think really they need to take that particular bit very seriously. It's either they change or they fix. If they don't, then we continue having some problems. The issue of the seasonal paper, number one of 1965, I think that was our first seasonal paper in this country. It was actually the first paper which was talking about development in the country. And as a result of that, then we came up with the Equalization Fund, which confirmed that there was a bit of marginalization. So I think the issue of the devolution and the new constitution, I appreciated the fact that there were some gaps. And then Equalization Fund...
Of which there's no money right now disbursed.
Which was never disbursed. Yeah. So it's unfortunate that...
But will tell us why there's no money.
No money has been disbursed. Now, when I listened to my colleague Mugatano talk about them being re-elected by Kenyans, you know, Dibal, if you are a musician and you are singing, you're in the platform there singing, the only good indicator to show you that things are going well is actually the fans who are dancing. So you look at your fans and you say things are coming up well. Everybody's dancing, others are jumping, you say no. But when you look at this Kenya Kwanza government, just the immediate week, if you look at the hostilities already, which faced the president when he visited Meru, I think Mugarara needs to go back to and rethink that statement of they will be re-elected. Because this is a very clear demonstration that if things continue the same, we have a problem. So as I give my concluding remarks, I just want to ask this government to look at the mood, read the mood of Kenyans, and act on the basis of that mood. Otherwise, things are going to be very tough for them.
Right. Honorable Sige,
Thank you, Dibal.
your closing remarks as well.
It is a very wrong analogy that and that is one of the things the president has said over and over again, that, you know what, guys, let us make unpopular decisions now because we want to fix Kenya.
Correct.
We want to fix the economy.
Correct.
We want to serve the people of Kenya. We made commitments in the course of our campaign, in our manifesto, in our plans. Let us make those very unpopular decisions because we want to fix those challenges which previous regimes missed. And so that analogy is a no for me. We will fix the country. We're in the process of fixing it. And three things that I would love to say as I close. Number one, and this we all agree, this is a listening administration. The administration of Kenya Kwanza is the first in terms of getting to do things when Kenyans have commented. They don't dismiss. We do not dismiss. And this is something that will help us to deliver on a number of those challenges. Number two, the situation that we are in, we are not lamenting, we are not going back to history. We are saying, let us comment on the positives. Let's not invest so much of our energy on the negative stories, because it is true there are good things that have happened. Honorable Makatana here have talked about the digital platform. Very many of our young Kenyans have gotten jobs. We have the Jitume program. I mean, our hubs, our Kenyan brothers and sisters are running. The 48 trips we're talking about the president has made overseas are not in vain. We have a good number of Kenyans who labor has been or will be and has been exported. What I'm trying to say is, if we are going to talk about these things in a positive way, we will ensure that a number of those areas where we have challenges are also positively pushed to support this country. And so, as I say so, there is hope that things will work out.
Right.
As I close, with regards to the debate that is still alive about judiciary, if we also encourage our brothers and sisters in the bench, let's avoid judicial activism. Let's look at the bigger picture. Let's support other arms of government to support Kenyans to improve on the life of Kenyans. Because at the end of the day, we are all Kenyans. We live in this country that we must protect, both in law, both in the political arena and in the executive.
Thank you.
That way, we will work as a team.
Thank you very much.
Just three simple points. One, we must look at what is happening in the judiciary with activities in relation to what is happening in Parliament. How come laws are passing in Parliament that the judiciary is challenging? That's point number one. Number two, if you make unpopular decisions which do not yield results, you can't be re-elected. Number three, let's not look at public participation as a need to meet legal and constitutional requirements, but let's look at it as a means of genuinely getting the people's input, other stakeholders' input in what is being done. That's my side.
Thank you. Finally, Honorable Mgatana, your closing remarks.
No, I would repeat, saying that I am personally very, very hopeful that this country is going somewhere. And I'm telling you, watch this space. Because I have said that for you to succeed, you have to invest. Investment is painful. If you want to start a butchery, investment is painful. But over time, it will yield the profit and your financial status will improve. So Kenyans, we are at the point of investment. And it's going to be painful for a while. But I am very hopeful that this country is going in the correct direction.
All right.
Thank you.
In the correct direction, next week will tell us where the money for the counties are. They have not been disbursed. If that is the right correction, then you'll tell us we are still hopeful.
81 billion.
Investments also fail. Investments also fail.
Thank you very much for your valued company. I really do appreciate also our panelists as well for that very wonderful contribution. Yes, next week we'll still be here with the Honorable Mgatana to tell us more on also the spat that is going on between the Senate and the CRA regarding the Equalization Fund as well. And also, we are eagerly waiting for the resumption of Parliament. Yeah, it's been long. It's been long. and that will be happening next week, but one, on the 13th of February. That is for the National Assembly? Or what about the Senate? 12th?
Yeah, it's the same day.
It's the same day for both of them. Okay, for the bicameral house is the same day. Thank you guys, I really appreciate it. Yeah, thank you for watching Stanford here on the Morning Prime. Don't go away, News Diary is up next.